Hello everyone, welcome to LUKMAAN IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 13th February 2021. So let us see which are the important articles in today's The Hindu newspaper. Yes, these are the important articles for mains purpose and for prelims purpose. Yes, so let us take overview of these articles first. For mains related articles on page number 6 editorial page. So regulation light. So the article is talking about over the top internet based services which are, or we can say, live streaming, those platforms like Netflix and Amazon. So recently the government has said that it is going to come up with some regulations. Now these platforms themselves have adopted code of self regulation, and the article is saying that here such kind of self regulation should be promoted rather than external regulation by the state. So we will discuss that from governance perspective. Yes. Second, climate change resilience actions in step with India. So the article is having specifically context of Australia and India cooperation on climate change actions. The writer of the article himself is ambassador of Australia to India, and he is giving some very good insights related to the cooperation between Australia and India, especially related to climate change mitigation and adaptation practices. Okay, so we'll look into that aspect from mains perspective. Here art and culture related some of the article on page number 1. So a puppet master with a chip in a brain. So in this article we will talk about some puppetry art, the shadow puppetry art from Kerala. So it is talking about that art and culture part from prelims perspective, as well as the puppetry, different types of puppetry art is also important for mains perspective also. Yes, Kalaripayattu. So earlier also in the Hindu analysis many times we discussed this martial art forms, very famous in Kerala. So yes, some of the Bollywood movies have also adopted, like one movie of that Tiger Shroff, Bagi movie. There the Kalaripayattu kind of a martial art form was shown in the Bollywood movie. So yes, from prelims perspective we need to know different martial art forms from different states. Okay, so for example Punjab, Manipur, or such kind of Maharashtra. So different martial art forms are there and they are important. Recently even sports ministry has accepted some of the martial art forms, martial art sports, they are to be included in Khelo India program. There we had discussed this Kalaripayattu also, right. So from prelims perspective we will talk about that martial art form. So let us see one by one these articles. Regulation light, as the name suggests, there should be light form of regulation on which, let us say, part it is, which issue it is discussing about. Yes, we know that there is flooding of such over the top internet based live streaming, or let us say video streaming apps and platforms. Especially they gained momentum, or we can say importance, after the lockdown period in during COVID-19 time, right. So many people, yes, we know that the theaters were shut down in that COVID-19 pandemic time, and because of that whatever the live streaming apps and these platforms, they gained momentum. Many movies were released on those. However, now in recent times many such movies and series, web based series, they have come under scrutiny of the government. Many FIRs are being filed. For example, recently the Tandav series on Amazon Prime, that video streaming platform, right. So this shows that slowly they are coming under the government scrutiny, right. So we have to understand this from polity perspective also, that there is some kind of creativity promoted in those let us say video streaming platforms. This comes under fundamental right, freedom of right of speech and expression. Okay. So movies are part of this art, we will say that, and the freedom of expression under article 19, this is promoted here. However, that comes with certain restrictions, we know about that, right. However, the external regulation by the government or state should not be there. Surely there should be promotion of self-regulation similar to other media platforms. The censorship sponsored by the government will surely reduce the creativity that has been promoted by these platforms. Okay, so what the article here is talking about, essence of that article is this one. So the internet based over the top streaming services have operationalized a code of self regulation from 10th of February. Okay, a code of self regulation has been adopted now. Up till now there was no regulation, external as well as self regulation, and that's why many times it was criticized for, let's say, showing violence, or we can say even nudity and hurting the religious sentiments. These are the arguments provided for censorship of the content on those platforms. Okay, and that's why some kind of regulation was let's say called for, and now it is said that instead of external regulation, the self regulation or the code of self regulation that is adopted by these platforms themselves, this should be given chance before any external regulation is to be implemented by the government, right? Now, why there was need felt, for example, there is some kind of commercial angle by some, let's say, platforms. So that's why to regulate that it was important. At the same time, there are some reasonable restrictions for freedom of speech and expression under Article 19, for example, public order and morality, the security of the country, or we can also say that here many such restrictions like friendly relations with the foreign state, and at the same time sovereignty of the country. So basically these includes automatically the public order and morality. It includes like not hurting the religious sentiments and all, right? Surely. So that's why like recent case of the Tandav series, web series on Amazon Prime Video. Okay, so the many FIRs were filed in different states, and because of that the need was felt, and the government said it is going to come up with certain regulatory guidelines. Okay, so that's why these platforms themselves have come up with this voluntary code. Now such voluntary code should be given one chance. Why self regulation is good idea and should be given chance to work? Because what happens is they have these platforms have led to more and more creativity, let's say freedom of expression, and surely this is the positive thing. The art should be promoted, the freedom of expression should be promoted, and it has come up with very good insights. The social issue based, let's say the web series, movies have been shown on those platforms. Many times it becomes for the producers and to show these issues on the large screens because of restrictions in monetary terms. Now these platforms have promoted such free speech and expression, right? So at the same time, it is the code that has been promoted or given by these platforms. It is in line with expert committee. The expert committee which was appointed by IB Ministry under the chairmanship of Shyam Benegal in 2016. Now this committee itself has said that there should be categorization, like we can say that the panel upheld the creative expression and full ownership of any visual production, leaving viewing decisions to audiences, more accurately classifying the films by viewer age and ensuring transparency in the way reviewing bodies are constituted. So we can say that this code, which places emphasis on abiding by the IPC laws on women's and children's right, copyright and age appropriate certification, parental control, while upholding constitutional provisions of free speech. So surely whatever the voluntary code they have come up with, this is in line with the constitutional provisions as well as the committee recommendations. Shyam Benegal committee, very famous in terms of let's say this freedom of speech and expression related to movies and these platforms. Okay, so that's why we will say that whatever the self regulation that these over the top platforms they have come up with, this should be given chance. A very good statement here. Idea that films must be pre-censored and arbitrary cuts be made by the government appointed nominees mostly out of prejudices is antiquated and repugnant to liberal societies. It should not be there. So you can use this statement in your answer. A policed approach to films and media can only grow a monoculture of propaganda. Right. So these platforms, these movies, they are creative, the platforms of creative expression, and they should be given free hand to some extent. Otherwise, societies will not progress. The liberal societies will not progress. Okay. So in this manner, the question we can attempt from this issue here: do you think there is need of regulation of internet based over the top streaming services in India? Justify your view. Now in this type of question, here you should say that there is need of regulation. Okay, you cannot say that there is not need of regulation. However, here after explaining the need of regulation, you should explain that the regulation should be self-regulation, soft regulation, light regulation, not hard regulation or strong regulation by government in terms of censorship and such kind of things, right? So in this manner you should attempt this question. Yes, surely in GS2 paper, the governance part, polity part, there will be question in this manner. Now this is emerging issue or contemporary recent issue, we can say that. Fine. Okay. Now next article on page number 6, again editorial page, climate change resilience actions in step with India. So here the writer, who is ambassador to India from Australia, so he is talking about the need and the opportunity that has been created by recent developments in terms of climate change or such kind of events which are there or happening because of climate change. He is emphasizing on collaboration between different countries to reduce the climate change effects. So it is focusing on mitigation and adaptation efforts, the collaboration between different countries, how Australia is collaborating with its neighboring countries in Pacific region and with India and other such countries around the world. So it is providing some insights and mention of certain, let's say, summits like climate adaptation summit. So we will also look into that from prelims perspective. Okay. So a very good statement here. The climate change is an increasingly pressing global issue which will require collective will to ensure sustainable future for our countries and for the world. You should start with such statement, or we can say if there is any essay, you can also use them for introduction or giving some ideas or the kind of, let's say, even in conclusion also you can conclude with such line if it is talking about the climate change. Okay. Now here it is giving some references to international platforms and summits. Climate Adaptation Summit hosted by Netherlands on January 25-26, 2021, recently. Okay, it provided a valuable opportunity to the international community for collective action, especially related to the adaptation strategies that the countries should be having, especially the developing and underdeveloped countries. Now in this manner, the Australia is cooperating with India at various in various areas, at the same time in various platforms. For example, it is collaborating with India in International Solar Alliance. At the same time, the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. So these both platforms which are led by India, Australia is collaborating with India on those platforms in terms of climate change mitigation and adaptation strategy, the technology transfer and the funding transfer also, right. At the same time, especially the bilateral cooperation in two areas, Australia is working with India on water resources management and such technology transfers, and in terms of energy, joint energy dialogue. So it focuses on hydro storage, pumped hydro storage, cost effective battery technologies, hydrogen and coal gasification. So it is focusing on technology transfer to India. Okay, so Australia has some technological development in terms of energy efficient technologies, and those technologies are being transferred to developing countries like India. So this is good thing. We can give the examples if it is India Australia bilateral relationship type of question, or if it is in general climate change related question and international cooperation. Okay, so again in the end conclusion statement, whether in responding to COVID-19 pandemic or tackling ongoing challenge posed by climate change, we need to embrace innovation and strengthen global partnership. Okay, so yes, you should use such words, such statements in your answers. You need to know one important, let's say, effect of climate change on Australia, that is the bushfire that were experienced in the early time of 2020 last year. Okay, so this has let's say shown that how impact of global warming is happening through manifested through these kinds of events. Okay, so the Australian bushfires and how it impacted the biodiversity, the wildlife in that region. So surely that's why Australia has become more conscious in tackling this climate change, and surely it knows that it cannot be tackled alone. Surely the global partnership is very much required for that purpose, and Australia is working in that direction and in let's say collaborating with India also. Okay, so from that IR and climate change perspective, GS2 and GS3. From prelims part, mention of climate adaptation summit that recently happened in January month. Okay, so what is this climate adaptation summit? This is informal event. Okay, this is not under United Nations framework convention. Informal summit of heads of the government. This was virtual summit that was held, and even our Prime Minister talked there, it addressed this summit. So this is the focus here is on climate change adaptation strategies. Okay, specifically it is going to deliver on this adaptation action agenda. Okay, so that's why, and it is also multi-stakeholder event. So not only the heads of the government, rather the private players, private parties, companies, individuals and their representatives, we can say that even the non-government organizations, philanthropic organizations, so all together academia, they meet on this climate adaptation summit. Since 2019 this is being held, and this year it was held in Netherlands. Okay, so we need to know this basic information, and it is specifically focusing on adaptation strategies. Those are to be adopted in developing and underdeveloped countries. Okay, yes. So this is from prelims perspective. Next, a puppet master with chip in the mind. So here it is talking about a robot which is going to animate, or this Tolpava Kuttu. So Tolpava Kuttu is shadow puppetry, shadow leather puppet in Kerala, and which is very famous there. Now this is going to be animated by a robot. So that's why it is in news, first page news. Now this is the form of shadow puppetry and very famous traditional temple art in Kerala. Okay, and this is performed in the Bhadrakali temples of Palakkad, telling tales of Ramayana. So that's why this is the basic information for prelims. In addition, you can take this information, Tolpava Kuttu, this is puppetry art, and specifically talking shadow puppetry, it is shadow puppetry from Kerala, especially which district? Palakkad district, popular in Palakkad, Thrissur and Malappuram districts of Kerala. Now this is the traditional puppetry form, especially shown or exhibited in Bhadrakali Devi temples. Okay, So that's why it is of significance. It is having some religious aspect also. It shows the stories of Ramayana. Now originally the puppets used in Tolpava Kuttu were used made of deer skin, but now they are typically made of goat skin. Okay. The puppets are painted in vegetable dyes, no artificial dyes. Then it can be as tall as 4 feet, and there, 2 sticks are used to control these puppets. Okay. So this is very good, we can say, puppetry form. You can see the videos, just type Tolpava Kuttu on the internet and videos, you will find the videos also. Now in terms of let's say prelims as well as mains perspective, art and culture, there are basic 4 kinds of puppetry art forms that is found in India in different regions, like string puppets. All we know since our childhood is this string puppet Kathputli, because largely it is shown in Indian Bollywood movies also, and we know that in Rajasthan this Kathputli is very famous, right? So yes, this include Kathputli from Rajasthan, Kundei from Odisha, and Gumbetta of Karnataka, and Bommalattam art of Tamil Nadu. Then shadow puppets, this includes Togalu Kombayatta of Karnataka, Tholu Bambalatta of Andhra Pradesh, and Ramanachaya of Odisha. Shadow puppets, including this Thol Pavakuttu shadow puppetry of Kerala. Then rod puppet, this includes Putul Nach. So Putul Nach of West Bengal and Yampuri of Bihar. This is especially of eastern India, rod puppets. Okay. So Putul Nach of West Bengal and Yampuri of Bihar. And glow puppetry. So glow puppetry is specifically called as Pavakuttu. So this shadow glove puppetry is itself. Now these gloves are specifically called as or that puppetry of is called as Pavakuttu of Kerala, and Thol Pavakuttu is shadow puppetry using gloves. Okay. So that's why these are the important 4 different types of puppetry forms. From men's perspective also you need to prepare this part, and there can be match the following question in prelims also. Now you can attempt the question here that we have given for practice purpose from above information and understanding. Try to attempt this question and answer this. Give your answer in the comment box of this video. Okay. Next, again from art and culture perspective, especially prelims examination, the martial art forms, and a very important among them is Kalaripayattu. This is there on page number 12, today's The Hindu newspaper, and it is talking about that there is resurgence of this art form because of Zoom classes, Instagram visuals, and such kind of popularity that it is gaining. Just now I told you that there was one Bollywood movie also, in that they are promoting here Kalaripayattu martial art form. Okay, this is very famous in Kerala. Now there are different martial art forms from different states. You need to know them, need to remember them. There can be match the following question. For example, Gatka in Punjab. Now this is in news, like there are farm protests going on at present in Delhi by farmers from Punjab, right? And this Gatka kind of this martial art is done by Sikh people, Sikh religion people from Punjab, and they exhibit this Gatka, okay, martial art form. Then Mushti Yuddha of Uttar Pradesh, Silambam of Tamil Nadu, Thangta, sometimes it is also in news, Thangta, Manipur. Okay. Then Mardani Khel of Maharashtra, especially the southern southwest Maharashtra, like Kolhapur district, Mardani Khel. Then Parikhanda, Bihar, Odisha and Jharkhand. Then Chaibi Gadga of Manipur. Then Sarit Sarak of Manipur, Thoda of Himachal Pradesh. Then Mukna of Manipur and Karna Samu of Andhra Pradesh. So you can see there are 3 such art form from Manipur, Thangta, then Chaibi Gadga and Sarit Sarak. of Manipur. Okay, so you have to remember these names. Yes, somehow it is cumbersome, but again there are factual informations from art and culture, you need to remember them. Fine. So yes, these are the articles which are directly related to our examination. Try to take input for both mains as well as prelims examination. Now if you like this video, surely press the like button and subscribe to our channel. At the same time, if you want to have more information about editorial discussion classes wherein in-depth analysis of mains related issues and articles is done by Ansari Sir and team, you can contact LUKMAAN IAS. Thank you.